This is Radar for On the Radar Entertainment Blog, coming with another edition of Movie Reviews and Observation number 16. Wow, it's been 2+ full months since I've been doing. It's more than 2 months. Wow, it's been. If I can do the math, March, April, May, June, July. It's almost going to be 4 full months if it's April, May, June, July. Yeah, it's going to be almost 4 months in general when this thing started. And as I said before, public libraries in Skokie, Lincoln, whatever's been closed up without any warning. Only had a couple movies on me, including an Interloan. Watched those. I watched the Displaying Library movies. Ran out of those. Watched Hoopla, Canopy, and Netflix. Ran out of those from my list of 2019 movies for terms of coming on to DVD. Then started using a site that you don't want to get viruses on your computer, so you're watching it on your phone. I then was able to, when the Skokie Public Library announced they were taking requests for movies, I basically requested all of them at the end of May, beginning of June. And pretty much every movie came in pretty much in the month of June, beginning of July, except for a couple of kids' movies. They came in at the end because kids' movies are harder to find because they're mixed together with the kids' TV show. There were 4 movies that, for some reason, even though when I put a hold on them, they said they were available. I don't know what happened. Didn't show up, and I had watched the last physical copy movie last Saturday, so I said, well, I guess I'm going to go back to watch them online, even though a couple of them I really wanted to watch. And the first one that I watched was Blinded by the Light, not to be with the name of the Bruce Springsteen song, coming of age story. It was the life of this kid who wrote poems and wanted to be a journalist, but his parents were from Pakistan, so it was all about the family. And any summer job, it went to them. The mother did side jobs, the sister did side jobs, all that for them to go to school. And he wanted to be a writer, but his father wanted him to actually have a job, go to a specific school and things like that. And he was tired of living this life. He starts to listen. He meets another, Pakistani kid at his school who shows him Bruce Springsteen, and he starts listening to them. And even though this is, set in, the late 80s, I guess you could say, and back then it's like punk, hair metal bands, and it's not the cool thing to listen to Bruce Springsteen. People are like, that's not the cool thing right now. He starts listening to it, forms a bond with that kid. He told his lifelong best friend, who was always nice to me, who knows the Pakistani kid who they made fun of. His father likes him because he likes Bruce Springsteen, the friend's father. And, of course, Haley Atwell plays the teacher who encouraged him to continue writing and doing his poems to eventually become a journalist, things like that. So his life changes by listening to the music and practicing the word of Bruce Springsteen, even though he's a British kid who's Pakistani, not an American kid. His parents and his father don't really get it, and he's got to deal with his religion and his culture and ethnicity telling him he shouldn't be doing that. It's all about this. But then there's a girl he likes, tries to go after her with the music. They go together. So it's a very nice story with Bruce Springsteen music throughout. It was a really good movie. There were people that were Nazis and they hated the Nazis, and that was pretty cool. Things like that. So yeah, basically, but you got Bruce Springsteen music, kid's life being changed by listening to it and hoping he goes on to better things because of it. Haley Atwell's in there from Agent Carter and Captain Marvel movies. I mean, not Captain Marvel, Captain America movies, excuse me. Yeah, it was a very good movie. Good soundtrack. Really liked it. Made me tear up a bit because my relationship with my father is not great. So, but it was a good movie overall, and I can understand the religion and culture dictating what you want to do. The next movie I watched was a movie where I kind of had to skip some scenes because you could tell. And when the movie starts off with a Down syndrome kid trying to break out of a nursing home with Bruce Stern, who I'm not a huge fan of, you're like, great. Then it shows Shia LaBeouf, whose brother dies in the movie, John Bernthal. He's just trying his best to live life and stuff like that. Like in the middle of nowhere, I guess, in like Florida. And he bumps into this Down syndrome kid who ran out. And of course, they go on a mission together because he just wants to leave where he is. And Shia LaBeouf trying to hide from people he owes money to, blah, blah, blah. And he tries to get to him this wrestling camp. And then the woman who's supposedly taking care of him, which is played by Dakota Johnson, she's out looking for him because she cares about him because that's where the state put him. And it's a mission to get to this camp. And there all the troubles they got to deal with. And, it wasn't that long, but you got the point of where the movie was going. And there was a lot of just silliness, unneeded scenes. And it's just like, it was okay, Peanut Butter Falcon. I'm not going to rush out of my way to watch it ever if somebody asks me. Shia LaBeouf hasn't really been a good movie since, like, Transformers, Disturbia, you get it. Eagle Eye. Like, it's been a while since I've seen him in a really good movie. And John Bernthal wasn't really in the movie. It's just flashbacks, so it wasn't that exciting. And as I said, yeah, there's a lot of skippable scenes, so it wasn't that great of a movie. The next movie I watched was the movie I wanted to watch for a while about Ad Astra, which means Latin for to the star, where Brad Pitt plays an astronaut in the future. Like everybody goes to the moon, they can go to Mars, military bases, and they're researching. And his father supposedly is played by Tommy Lee Jones, but there's an age discrepancy. Like Brad Pitt is, if you're lucky, is maybe 10 years younger. He's 56 years old, and that doesn't really mean that he's that much younger than Tommy Lee Jones, who's 73. It's like double digits, but not really. And like they don't even look like each other, so it's like, but I liked it. Yes, it was like an hour 56, almost 2 hour movie, but it was cool. It's like in the future, it's more of a drama more than it's just science fiction, but it's cool that his father, legendary astronaut, he's lost at Neptune. Ruth Negga, who never plays in a British person, even though she's British, from like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to Preacher to that movie about a black woman marrying a white man in the South movie with Joel Edgerton, which was a pretty good movie. Donald Sutherland, I'm not a huge fan of, but he plays a guy who used to know his father. Liv Tyler plays his girlfriend, but she's barely in it. And it was a pretty cool movie, you know? Seeing how it would be in the future where people are on the moon, living there, going back and forth, like commercially. How people are like, we're on Mars and we've explored planets and we're going further, we're looking for life signs. And that he's following his father's footsteps. And he's like top of his game. And we got the Air Force and the Navy. We now got like the military people who are going up north, you know, going up to the moon and Mars. And John Ortiz, who's been in plenty of movies, was in the movie. I liked seeing him in there. So it was a pretty good movie. Kind of long, more drama than sci-fi, but it was just a very good story again, like Blinded by the Light, father-son story. Hadn't seen his father years, thought he was dead. The fact that he thinks his father could be alive and going out looking for him and getting all the way to Neptune, that was pretty cool. And they got all these technology to do social worker tests, all these tests. I feel like, are you fit to do it? Are you able to handle the stresses? Oh, it was a really good movie. It's more because Brad Pitt sells it because he's the main guy. He's basically, it's all about him. Everybody else is minor in the movie. Now, the next movie that I watched was not on purpose, but based on what was still available. That wasn't available for Hollywood. It was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, this Quentin Tarantino movie that he's been trying to make for years. It was like 2 hours and 40 minutes. And I'm just like, yeah, there's some scenes you can cut out, especially scenes when Margot Robbie is playing somebody famous, and you're like, I really care about Leonardo DiCaprio being this guy who's been in occasional movies, occasional TV show that got canceled. Brad Pitt's a stuntman who kind of looks like him, his handyman. It's cool, like the life story of both Brad Pitt and, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio, the bond they have, how they live sometimes together and do things together, you know, helps them out and all this stuff. It was a really good movie. And it had Kurt Russell in it a bit. It had, you know, Al Pacino in it. It was a pretty good amount of cast in the movie and stuff like that. Not to give away the plot, but he's like struggling. He realizes that Leonardo DiCaprio, he's no longer going to be a star of his own TV show. He's got to do movies in Italy. All these different things that he goes to himself going, man, am I really going to be the guy who appears on other people's show and they can beat me up and punch me up, you know, like in Green Hornet or FBI or one of these other shows and things like that, where he realizes if Timothy Olyphant's like the new guy on the show and he's got to play to what he's doing, be the bad guy on that. It's pretty interesting. It was nice that Julia Butters, who's from American Housewife, played a kid on one of the sets. Didn't really like the whole let's include Charles Manson in the movie and his camp, where these girls are there and they want to get revenge, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, okay, Dakota Fanning is one of the girls. Mickey Madison, who's from Better Things, is one of the girls. And Maya Hawke is one of them. Ethan Hawke's child. And then Harley Quinn Smith, who's Kevin Smith's daughter, she's one of the girls too. And it's like, okay then. And it was very nice that Luke Perry was in the movie because, you know, he tragically passed away. You know, that he's no longer in Riverdale. You don't see him. And he was in the movie as one of the Texas people on the ranch. You know, one of the things that Leonardo DiCaprio's filming, so it was nice to see him in that. As I said, again, Bruce Dern is in the movie. Not really a huge fan of seeing him in the movie. But it was interesting that Sony pretend to be Mama Cass and, you know, Michelle Phillips and Steve McQueen and all of these other famous people. So, you know, it was pretty interesting. You get paid all that money to pretend to be somebody. But again, there's scenes where Margot Robbie was doing, and you're just like, I don't really care. Don't care about the Charles Manson crap. It was just like, you could have not included some of that stuff. And said movie 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's just straight up 2 hours, maybe 2 hours 10-15 minutes. But outside of the length and some unneeded scenes, it really what drives the movie is you feeling for Leonardo DiCaprio as an actor and Brad Pitt as a stuntman. So when you realize that with Brad Pitt, again, you're watching the movie because of Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio, and they really drive this whole entire movie. This passion project by Quentin Tarantino that he probably wanted to make years ago, but wasn't able to with other actors. Then the next movie I watched, because I said I was, out of movies, blah, 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 was I went on Wikipedia, and they added certain movies that were added that coming to home video in 2019. But when you make this list, like in June or July, to end the calendar year of 2019 and try to finish it and whatnot, and it's taking me till July to finish it because there were weeks where I didn't watch movies or days where I didn't watch movies. That the next movie I watched was this movie where Michael Chiklis and Bruce Willis, bald guy movies where they're both usually, Bruce Willis is playing a good guy and he does all these incredible action scenes and Michael Chiklis action scenes, but of course, it was a very cliche heist movie that goes wrong. You're not sure if who in the crew is the one that pulled it off. Bruce Willis isn't doing the action thing. He's just like a businessman who hires Michael Chiklis and his crew, and it's just like, you could see that everybody's going to die in the movie, and Michael Chiklis, because he's the main character, he's not going to die, but everybody else is going to die. His brother in the movie died. That's how the movie starts. The heist goes, they don't even show the heist. It's like, what the point of showing a movie that's, only an hour and like 20-something minutes, and you don't really show the full heist. They barely showed it whatsoever. It was like, okay, show what somewhat planning in a bar, show two of the gunmen shooting, show him and his brother in the safe, so somebody doing an alarm. Barely. If it's a heist movie, you want to really get intricate with the heist scene. If you have an hour and 20 minutes, make more of the movie about the heist, not about where everybody went, who's behind it, blah, blah, blah. Everybody dies, and it's just Michael Chiklis basically surviving from his crew. So it's very cliche, but it was interesting that they filmed in Cincinnati. Didn't really know Cincinnati was a hotbed to film movies. But yeah, it was a horrible movie. Bruce Willis barely did anything in the movie. He was just talking a lot. So that was the first one I watched. And then the next one I watched was another movie where it's like I haven't seen a movie with Michael Chiklis in a while. I haven't seen Nicolas Cage in a movie in a while, or even a quality movie in years. And they call this an action thriller, but really what it is a revenge film. He's a hitman. He's an enforcer who goes to prison, and they take the rap. His wife dies. His son turns to drugs. Blah 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 blah. And when he gets out of jail, he finds his money and everything, and he wants to fix everything with his son and his wife, with his son and how things left him. But he's got all this money and he's spending on it, and he hasn't been with a woman, so there's hookers involved, and that's silly. There's him trying to buy all the stuff for his son. It's him trying to figure out who really was behind it and find out that certain people are all doing different things out of the game, and it's like a revenge movie where you can see it happening from a mile away. In this hour and the 30-something minute movie, tries to kill everybody in the crew who screwed him over, including the guy in charge. Benjamin Bratt used to be friendly with him. He's at a bar, and you think, Benjamin Bratt, just coming off being in the movie star. The TV show star on Fox for a couple of years. He's been in occasional movies. He's in this small budget film with Nicolas Cage. The lead wasn't great, because then you find out Benjamin Bratt. Sorry, Brad Pitt's on the mind for the two movies. That he's not what he thinks. And then you're confused as if his son was really there to pick him up from prison, with his son there in the hotel, buying him all the food, the clothing, and the watches. Or did his son die when he was locked up? Or was it another son? It was just the fact that he has like an issue where he can't sleep and he's dying. So he knows because he's dying, he's got to get revenge. And find out last time his son, it was just cliche, stupid. And I'm sorry, Nicolas Cage, but there was no point in you making this movie. I don't know where you've been. But this movie was not a good use of your time, nor Benjamin Bratt, because it was cliche, stupid. It wasn't that long. But it's just that don't watch it. So don't watch A Score to Settle unless you're a huge Nicolas Cage fan. Don't watch 10 Minutes of Gone unless you're a huge Bruce Willis or Michael Chiklis fan. Definitely watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's one of the best movies I've seen this year. One of the best movies from the 2019 movie list. He's got a lot of actors in there and a lot of characters, famous people they're portraying. Ad Astra, even though it's like almost a 2-hour movie, it's a great science fiction movie about a guy following his father's footstep and all the place exploration looking for other people. Then Peanut Butter Falcon, unless you're a huge Shia LaBeouf or Dakota Johnson fan where you're like, I have to watch every movie they're in. Don't watch it. And then Blinded by the Light, great story, great music, great relatability between father and son and religion and culture. Yes, it's almost 2 hours, but it's pretty good. And it's based off a true story, so you should watch Blinded by the Light, Once Upon a Time with an Asteroid. Do not watch 10 Minutes Gone. Don't watch The Settle the Score or Peanut Butter Falcon. Thanks for listening to another edition of Movie Reviews Observation number 16. This is Radar for On the Radar Entertainment Blog. See you guys next time.